I want to make clear Israel's
For
position.
more on this, let's bring in the president of the Middle East Institute, Paul Six.
Well, inside Israeli territory causing.
Today's video starts with the latest developments in the Middle East. Dubai-based airlines Emirates and Fly Dubai began altering their flight paths around western Iran at approximately 4:30 a.m. local time. Local alerts to aviators suggested that the airspace might have been closed, although no official statement has been made. Iran later announced the cancellation of commercial flights in Tehran and the western and central regions. At Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport, announcements were made to passengers via loudspeakers, and it is claimed that online video supported this information. The Iranian state television acknowledged hearing a loud noise near Isfahan and initiated a scrolling alarm on the screen. These incidents occur following Israel's pledge to retaliate against Tehran's drone and missile attacks over the weekend. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war cabinet is expected to convene today to discuss further retaliatory actions. However, Iranian President Reza warned that any action against Iran's interests would meet with a severe, widespread, and painful response. The exiled Crown Prince of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, also mentioned that such scenarios are highly likely. The economic crisis in Iran is also noteworthy. With an officially announced inflation rate of 45%, Iranians are experiencing hard times. Similar to during the revolution, the currency has significantly depreciated, and people are queuing for food and fuel. This situation increases public discontent with the regime's billions spent on missile programs. A segment of the population wants to change in the regime. Moreover, Iran's sale of cheap oil to China while the populace still suffers severe living conditions highlights contradictions between the regime's foreign and domestic policies. All these events can be seen as part of a regime strategy to increase domestic pressure while continuing its aggressive stance abroad. The Iranian public, combined with widespread dissatisfaction with the government, is now demanding change. This poses a serious threat to the regime and could have significant implications for both internal conflicts and regional security. Let's delve into the comprehensive research conducted by our team on this subject and closely monitor developments in the region.
The Middle East awoke to a tumultuous start today with significant Israeli military actions. Following a severe Iranian assault, Israel had vowed robust retaliation, which materialized yesterday. The fallout from this escalation has left regional tensions at a boiling point. Iran, often operating indirectly, employs Hezbollah to conduct operations it doesn't acknowledge officially. Amid this strained backdrop, Hezbollah launched a modest attack on Israeli border villages, an action that was largely symbolic but unsettling nonetheless. This morning's response from Israel was decisive. Israeli defense forces pinpointed Hezbollah strongholds in southern Lebanon and executed a potent strike aimed at dismantling the militant group's capabilities. The operation specifically targeted weapon catches supplied by Iran to Hezbollah, effectively neutralizing these arsenals with precise strikes. This strategic blow left Hezbollah reeling, particularly as it has been grappling with the recent losses of several key leaders. Now critically low on munitions and operational leadership, Hezbollah's predicament has deepened. The Israeli military's actions not only debilitated the militants' logistical frameworks but also instilled panic, causing militants to scatter. Additionally, Israeli forces expanded their assault to include the village of Qiyam, where they launched 6 aerial strikes complemented by an intense barrage of over 100 artillery and phosphorus shells. This latest chapter of conflict underscores the escalating cycle of retaliation that characterizes the Israeli-Hezbollah interactions, with broader implications for regional stability and the civilian populations caught in the crossfire. Let's delve deeper into the day's events and their potential repercussions. The situation in the Middle East has intensified overnight, with the Israel Defense Forces Eve announcing that they neutralized 2 Hezbollah operatives as they attempted to escape. Currently, Israeli warplanes executed targeted strikes on Hezbollah facilities in the Haim area, focusing on both infrastructure and military structures. ground forces were also compelled to engage, opening fire to neutralize what was described as an imminent threat. As the skirmishes continue, there is an increasing concern that these cross-border hostilities might spiral into a full-blown regional conflict, especially after Iran, Hezbollah's main supporter, intensified its involvement. Amid these developments, Hezbollah's deputy leader, Naim Qassem, voiced significant remarks regarding the ongoing conflict. Qassem emphasized that while Hezbollah aims to avoid further escalation along Lebanon's southern frontier, it stands ready to match any intensified aggression from Israel. Naim Qassem attributed the continuation of reciprocal hostilities in southern Lebanon, which have resulted in substantial civilian casualties and displacement on both sides of the Israeli-Lebanese border, to provocations by Israel and the United States, as the conflict on two fronts surpasses its half-year mark. Qassem expressed disbelief in its duration, criticizing Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's judgment and indicating that Hezbollah had not anticipated such prolonged engagement. The ongoing military engagements have substantially heightened anxieties among Israeli authorities. Particularly alarming were the recent Israeli operations around Isfahan, which significantly escalated regional tensions to critical levels. The Israeli War Cabinet has convened nightly over the past week, deliberating on the nation's response strategies amidst international calls for moderation. Allies of Israel, including the United States, have urged restraint while reaffirming their support. US President Joe Biden has had discussions with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, reportedly encouraging cautious strategies in conflict management. Similarly, the British and German foreign ministers have implored the Israeli government to avoid further escalation of tensions. Despite these international pleas, Netanyahu has remained resolute, asserting Israel's sovereign right to self-defense. He dismissed the calls for de-escalation, stating after a cabinet meeting, "We will make our own decisions." This stance has sharpened regional tensions, placing the Middle East on the brink of a potentially expansive conflict. The Biden administration, cautious of the implications a new Middle Eastern conflict might have on the upcoming presidential elections, has explicitly opted out of any direct involvement in Israeli strikes on Iranian soil. The American leadership is acutely aware of the potential repercussions that another war in the region could entail. Adding an academic perspective, Diba Mirza, a PhD researcher at the German Institute for Global and Regional Studies (GIGI), noted that Israel still has opportunities to de-escalate the situation. Mirza elaborated on possible diplomatic and military avenues that could be explored to reduce tensions and avoid further conflict. As the situation develops, the global community watches closely, hoping for a resolution that steers clear of further escalation and fosters stability in the region. Within the Israeli government and its armed forces, particularly among the more hardline factions, there have been calls for further escalation and direct action against Iran. However, following the recent attacks, Israeli officials deemed the situation resolved at night, suggesting a momentary halt to immediate retaliation. Diba Mirza, from the German Institute for Global and Regional Studies, giganized that Israel should avoid direct military actions on Iranian soil, warning that such moves would cross a critical threshold and potentially provoke severe consequences. Mirza proposed that Israel might alternatively target Iranian military sites in Iraq or Syria, or strike at Iran's allies within the so-called axis of resistance. Hamid Talebian, a fellow researcher at GIGA, noted that it remains improbable that Israel would refrain from responding equivalently to attacks on its territory, indicating that military responses remain on the table. As the day progressed, Israel redirected its military focus towards Hamas with a large-scale surprise operation in northern Gaza. The operation involved multiple IDF units, including Brigade 401 with its firepower, Brigade 215, Nahal troops, the Air Force, and the Yahalom counter-tunnel unit. This coordinated strike resulted in the deaths of approximately 40 Hamas operatives and the destruction of over 100 infrastructure targets associated with the group. The primary targets included a significant network of tunnels, with 17 tunnel shafts operated by Hamas, and a complex of Islamic Jihad rocket launchers, one of which was strategically positioned under the Gaza River to disrupt IDF movement. This recent operation also saw the IDF making substantial headway in its ongoing tunnel warfare, successfully eliminating key tunnel networks that split northern from central and southern Gaza. A particularly revealing moment during the conflict was the observed infighting among Hamas commanders over weapon and ammunition allocations, highlighting cracks in the group's cohesion and potentially diminishing its operational effectiveness at the grassroots level. Internal strife within Hamas ranks underscores the pressures faced by the group, as it contends with continuous Israeli military pressure.